Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Agile DevOps Virtual News Desk. I'm Owen, the Community Manager at TechWell. I'm joined now by Darrel Farris, the Solutions Architect at mabl. Darrel, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Thank you for having me, Owen.
I love your background, first of all. Fantastic choice.
Yours is amazing.
Yeah, so it's just a great, I love the green screen. I love the ability of Zoom to let us do these virtual backgrounds and fun things up a little bit. We were just talking beforehand about the change kind of in the conference scene, having to do these conversations virtually, not being able to see each other in person, and being able to kind of try to engage our audience and our speakers and our sponsors and everyone in a virtual environment. And it's certainly been a challenge and a fun challenge and something that hopefully people get something out of. What changes have you seen in that space? And we'll get into a more technical topic here in a second, but I was just wondering, because I know you speak a bunch, and what you've seen in this space.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. One thing that I've seen is that some folks have really embraced it. I think I see that some folks are having, trouble with it. I think as a speaker, it's like performing, right? You sort of need an audience to feed off of and, get energy and know when you're on the right track. The head nod when you're giving a talk is a beautiful thing. And so I myself, miss that for sure. But for me personally, I know that there are still people out there who, want to hear information and want to learn and want to share. And so for me, I'm a keep on keeping on kind of person and whatnot. And so for me, it's just a different mode, perhaps. But I still think it's time well spent. I love that, so many more people, I think, are able to attend these things online than, ones who have to get on a plane and book a hotel. So I think maybe the barrier to entry has actually gone down, and maybe the audience is even bigger. So I think it's a great thing.
100%. It's a really cool opportunity. And I think you're right. We're going to touch a new audience that maybe hasn't been able to get to our conferences or to any conference in the past, and give them learning opportunities that maybe they haven't been able to experience. As we shift in the conference space into doing more virtual events, there's also shifts throughout the industry. One of those shifts, I think, happening in the testing space as companies start to adopt CI/CD practices. What kind of shifts and trends have you seen in the testing space as teams started to adopt continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous delivery?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, specific to testing, I think developers have, had a great many conveniences afforded them through, DevOps and better tooling and whatnot, to where, they can get code from their fingertips out into an environment, deployed, with very little friction. The problem is that we still have to test that code, to make sure we're releasing good things. And I think there hasn't been, up until very recently, very much new stuff happening in testing. Whereas now, I think in the last couple of years, you see this, new breed of tools and vendors, and open source solutions, coming out. mabl is one of those. I think you see folks like Cypress, sort of came out from nowhere, and all of a sudden, it seems like everybody is using them in some capacity, right? I think there's a real hunger and a real need for better tooling to make testing able to keep up with the pace that DevOps has really enabled us to take.
Yeah,
And I think,
absolutely.
yeah, I'd say on the people side of that too, I think you're seeing centralized QA teams sort of being split up and, put in cross-functional teams. And it's not only how do you test earlier in the dev cycle, through tooling, but also how do you get testers closer, as earlier involved in the dev process as well, whether that's at the requirements phase or pitching in with UX. So I think you just see testers and testing, shifting left, I think, both physically and from a process standpoint.
Yeah, and when you see that shift happen and you see teams move to the CI/CD, and you see the testers and QA people being, put onto cross-functional teams, how has testing and quality kept pace with these changes into CI/CD? Are there any specific examples that you can share where a team has been able to keep pace with their quality initiatives while they're trying to change their processes pretty dramatically into CI and CD processes?
Yeah, I think, my team, the last one I was on, I can speak from a personal example. I think, part of it is how do you share the burden of testing, right? Just because my job title might be QA engineer doesn't mean I'm the only one who's writing tests. So it was, how do we get more people involved in testing? I think we were able, to get more people involved, and I think get a better disposition towards testing in general, to where it was seen as valuable and kind of baking it into our estimation on stories and whatnot. So it was just part of our sprint work. Um, on the mabl side of things, what I see a lot now is the sort of ease of use component to the tool is letting folks like product owners, UX folks, like automate their UAT test. And, whereas they don't need an engineer to come in and write a bunch of automation, someone can, do that with a more limited tech skill set, which is super powerful. And I think that is a really interesting shift. Because I think, when you're talking about shifting left, you have to remember, your customers are still over here on the right somewhere. And I think the more people that you get involved in testing, I think just leads to a better quality product and a better sense of accomplishment on the team side, right? We all want to feel like we're releasing good stuff. So to me, I think testing is just a really key component of that.
Right, and when you have that testing mindset where the whole team is responsible for it, it's like you said, it's baked in, and you have developers who are thinking about the quality while they're writing the code, and you have business owners and product owners who are thinking about delivering high value or high quality products, not just getting it out the door as fast as they can, and kind of balancing the speed with the quality, because that's obviously such an important thing. What do tools like mabl and a tool like mabl, how can they help enable? Obviously, you said they're able to kind of allow more people who maybe don't have the background in writing automation scripts or doing testing think more analytically about quality. What other ways can mabl and tools like that help?
Yeah, I think, like mabl, one of the, some of the new things in this sort of new breed of tools right now, components around machine learning or AI and whatnot. And, while, there are definitely voices who think those, parts are oversold, or overstated in the industry, I see them working. And, I think maintenance is one of those things that really just, kills a bunch of automation projects, right? Everything we build, we have to maintain. And so the idea of, I just want 100% front end automation coverage on everything, and that's, thousands of tests. Like, well, I hope you have a very large team. So I think some of the, the features around some of these new tools like mabl, or, things like, how can test adapt to change a bit more readily, without the user having to go in and change things? Can we get better insights out of our tests, going beyond pass or fail? Are there things that we can learn about our application through the tooling that we're using? I always like to think we have, so many tools that monitor nearly everything users do on a website. How do we get that into our testing? And so I think that's, something other vendors are approaching too. So I think there's a lot of new feature work that's really coming to light, and a lot of just really innovative approach, to sort of bringing more intelligence into testing. And I know that's a big focus of mabl's, because we want, folks want to be able to do more with less time, and I think looking for efficiencies is a really big component, I think, to a lot of value props you see in new tools coming to market today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that it is so key. We're able to help deliver faster, more efficiently, while maintaining that quality element. Now, Darrel, you're going to be talking a few times at the conference at Agile DevOps Virtual. Do you want to give just a little taste? We don't have a whole lot of time left. Just a little taste of what you're going to be talking about, so that people who haven't seen your session already can go back and watch your session either live or on demand.
Oh, sure. Thank you. My other talk is called Speed Dating in the Tool Pool, and it's about finding true love in your tooling, sort of the process of, how do you figure out that, maybe you have a tooling problem, how to look for new tools and how to evaluate them against, individually, but also against one another, and how to come to a decision or consensus amongst your team that, maybe moving to something else is going to solve some problems that a process can't. So yeah, that's the gist of it. It's pretty fun. It's a good metaphor. I've gotten great feedback from it at previous conferences. So yeah, I would say if anybody's watching who's interested in kind of learning how to navigate this new world of new tooling and how to evaluate them, definitely tune in.
Absolutely. That's great. Darrel, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure you stop by Mabl's booth. If you haven't already, make sure you stop into Darrel's talks, and everyone have a good time. Darrel, thanks so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much, Owen. Thanks to TechWell too.